Sometimes in life, we find ourselves in difficult and uncomfortable situations and don't know the best way to handle it. Me, I turn to Jesus. I open the Bible and just read. But I know some people have a hard time accepting certain verses, then say things like, how could any true God ask Abraham to murder their own son? Normally, we just read a verse, but let's break it down instead. Genesis chapter 22. After these things, God tested Abraham and said to him, Abraham, and he said, Here I am. He said, Take your son, your only son, whom you love, and go to the land of Moriah, and offer him there as a burnt offering on one of the mountains of which I shall tell you. Let's stop right here. First off, Abraham has another son named Ishmael. So why would God say your only son? That's because in the Hebrew, the word they use for only is yahid, which means lonely or deserted. You can see right here that this word is not commonly used. So it's good to just read, but it's also good to try and understand the context and not just read blindly either, right? So in this case, what's Moriah? Fun fact, Moriah is known as modern day Jerusalem. Interesting, right? Let's continue. So Abraham rose early in the morning, saddled his donkey, and took 2 of his young men with him, and his son Isaac. And he cut the wood for the burnt offering, and arose and went to the place of which God had told him. On the 3rd day, Abraham lifted up his eyes and saw the place from afar. Then Abraham said to his young men, Stay here with the donkey. I and the boy will go over there and worship and come to you again. And Abraham took the wood of the burnt offering and laid it on Isaac his son. And he took in his hand the fire and the knife. So they went, both of them, together. Isaac carried all the wood on his back all the way to where they built the altar. The irony in some of these stories is crazy. And Isaac said to his father Abraham, My father. And he said, Here I am, my son. He said, Behold, the fire and the wood, but where is the lamb for a burnt offering? Abraham said, listen to this, God will provide for himself the lamb for a burnt offering, my son. So they went, both of them together. God will provide for himself the lamb for a burnt offering. I'm going to let that one marinate. When they came to the place of which God had told him, Abraham built the altar there and laid the wood in order and bound Isaac his son and laid him on the altar, on top of the wood. Then Abraham reached his hand and took the knife to slaughter his son. Let's pay attention right here, you guys. The angel of the Lord, not an angel, not one of the angels, but the angel of the Lord called to him from heaven and said, Abraham, Abraham. And he said, Here I am. He said, Do not lay your hand on the boy or do anything to him. For now I know that you fear God, seeing you have not withheld your son, your only son, Yahid, from me. And Abraham lifted up his eyes, looked, and behold, behind him was a ram, caught in a thicket by his horns. And Abraham went and took the ram and offered it up as a burnt offering instead of his son. So Abraham called the name of that place, The Lord Will Provide. As it is to this day, on the mount of the Lord it shall be provided. On this mountain the Lord shall provide. So Abraham is about to end it all for his son, as God commanded, right? And the angel, not the Lord, the angel of the Lord, not any angel, the angel of the Lord, called to him from the heavens and said, Don't touch the boy, for I know you fear God. The context is important, and we're fortunate to know that the first commandment is God above all things. God was testing Abraham's priority list, his faith, his obedience. God was never going to let Abraham go through with the sacrifice. Jesus has not come in the flesh. Moses had not inscribed the commandments onto the tablet. It was a test. Was he following because it was convenient? Was he following because of his faith? Because of his heart posture? That was the test. And look what it says. A ram was caught in a thicket. A ram, an adult male sheep, was caught in a thicket. A thicket is a dense group of bushes, shrubs, and in this area, the thickets are commonly known to have thorns. So an adult male sheep caught by its head in a bush of thorns. Its head and thorns replaced the sacrifice that day. That sounds awfully familiar, doesn't it? I don't know. I think God asking someone to kill their own son, debunked. Amen. That was a lot of fun.